guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of our 1 Point Perspective room, and this is Mrs. Peterson, that lady who teaches art. So if you don't have this part done, go back and watch part 1 of the video, but we're going to pick up right where we left off. Okay, the only things we're missing now that we're going to add to this are a light on the ceiling and our pattern on the floor. So I'm going to start up on the ceiling, and we are going to go from our vanishing point. We're just going to create an edge here, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. And then this is going to be like those lights we have at school, those big fluorescent lights that have the rectangle cover over them. I'm just going straight across. Alright, so there is one of my big lights like at school. Maybe a little too big, but this is just a practice drawing, so we're going to keep going. All right, then I'm going to do the pattern on my floor. Now this is one part where students often get confused. So I'm still using my vanishing point, and I'm using the little marks that I did every half of an inch when I made the bottom there. So I'm going to line up with my vanishing point and that mark, and then I'm going to draw a line on my floor. Same thing here. Vanishing point and that mark. I'm not going to go through that table leg. Now this one should almost be straight down. And then they're going to start to twist the other way as they get away from my vanishing point. And on this one I got to be careful again. I don't want to go through the leg. I want to start after that. And then I've got my last one over here. Line up with your vanishing point. All right, now we're going to make this a checkerboard pattern on the floor. So the first one, I'm just going to lay my ruler across the bottom of my paper, lined up with the bottom edge, and then I'm going to just go across. Now, as I continue to go back, I can't use the same thickness because those are going to look even bigger. So like, for instance, I'll just do lightly a couple, and you'll see what I mean. If I keep these the same, we know that that was the same as I went back with my ruler. Now these back ones look huge because we're in 1 point perspective. So we need to get smaller as they go. I'm going to leave that second line I made and divide this one in half, but then I'm going to go a little tiny bit closer to the back line. So let's see what this looks like. Alright, I don't love it, so I'm going to erase the second line I made here. We're just trying to keep them looking square-ish, and these ones look awfully rectangle. Okay. Come back and try to make it look square-ish. I think that's pretty good. And then I think they're going to get closer and closer together as we go back. Notice I'm just keeping my ruler really perpendicular with the side of my paper as I'm going back. And I don't want to go through my table. Right, and then I can just erase that last line that I made to show you what was wrong. Alright, there we have it. Okay, now we're going to start adding shading to our piece. The thing that is going to be the lightest, the brightest in this entire room is definitely going to be this light, and depending on how bright outside it is, it could be this window too. So I'm going to leave this window white, and then I'm just going to lightly shade the ceiling. In my classroom, I have white walls and a white ceiling, and the same thing here in the room I'm sitting in at home. But the ceiling is just a little bit darker, even though they're the same paint color, because the light is not hitting it directly, not from the window and not from the light. So it's just going to get a little bit more shade on the ceiling than the walls do, if they're white. Now, some people say white walls are boring, and so maybe this room is going to have dark walls. That's up to you and how you shade it. Okay, let's draw a little abstract art back here on our wall, because, you know, everybody's got to have a little abstract art in their life, right? And then let's start talking about the rest of our room. I'm going to pretend that this trim is dark. The door in my classroom has darker trim than the actual door. So I'm going to shade that in pretty dark. If you wanted this to look like the trim was painted white, you would need to decide which looks lighter. Is it going to be the white trim or the white wall? Because I'm guessing they wouldn't be the exact same shade. And be careful as you're drawing. I can tell I'm already getting some smudges on stuff. I'm going to make my door like a medium gray, middle gray color. My door handles at home are glass, so they're pretty light colored generally, and my ones at school are like shiny silver metal, so I'm going to leave the door handle light. And that is a mistake a lot of students do when they're drawing. Is it's easier to color in the little things, so they'll just color in the door handle instead of really looking at what value something is. Just going to leave that. Door trim is getting a little lost, so I just need to go back and hit it just a little bit darker. All right, then the top of our table is going to be getting light, not only from the light, but also from the window here. So definitely these back legs are going to be, let's say that the table is like a wooden shade. Let's give this just a shade because it's going to be darker than our white walls. But then we got to think about which parts of it are going to be even darker. The top is getting the most light, so the front's going to be just a little bit darker, and these back legs are going to be really dark. They're getting the least amount of light. So now I'm going to go back and do the front. I'm always thinking about, is it lighter or darker than the shade next to it? So this needs to be darker than the top, but lighter than those back legs. And I'm just using a regular number 2 pencil, an HB pencil, so I don't have a 6B or 4B or anything here. So just do your best with the materials you have. If you have access to those, great, you can use those darker shades, but if not, you can make this pencil work too. Okay, now we need to think about under here. It's definitely going to be all in shadow. So I'm just going to add a little shadow here. And depending on how bright out it is, there could even be a little bit of a shadow on this side from that window. Okay, now let's go to our chair. The chair seat is going to be getting, let's pretend this is a dark object as well. The chair seat is going to be getting the most light, so I'm just going to make it like a middle gray. The chair back is going to be even darker because it's not getting direct light shining on it from either the window or the light on top. And then definitely under the chair, it's going to be shaded in. All right, now let's do the flooring. And I really plan to do the floor this way on purpose because for a very specific reason. So I'm going to shade in this box right here. This first row is going to have our lightest lights and our darkest darks. So I'm going to shade this in as dark as I can. It's going to be a checkerboard pattern, so every other one is going to go Now, pretend I will finish shading that in a minute, but just pretend that was nice. So then this one's going to be shaded in dark, 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 and this one. And those are going to be like the darkest I can make with my pencil. Then I'm going to come here, and this is just going to get a little bit lighter. These are going to get shaded in. I'm going to go back and fill these in nicely, but I just don't want to waste your time watching me do this. So I will do that in a minute. Then the next row, they're just going to get a little bit lighter. And lighter each row. And then by the time I get all the way to the back, even my white ones are going to have a little bit of shade. So these ones are going to be darker than the ones next to them, but even those light ones are going to get a little shade. Okay, I will finish filling in my flooring. I'll do some blending, and then I want to see how you finish yours. Don't forget to write your name, your grade, and the date on this piece before you send me a picture of it. All right, guys, I can't wait to see what you create.